Yeah, and my questions are gonna be edited out probably, so just try to answer in complete sentences pretty much. And then if you need to stop or you have other questions, just let me know.
So when you edit it, you're not gonna hear. They're not gonna hear you talking.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, so just be on me. All right, that's cool. That's cool.
Alright.
All right, we ready, baby.
So the first question is, you know, if you could just introduce yourself, and give us a little bit of background on, you know, what your life has been like. I know your life's been rich with experiences, so if there's a kind of a way just to sum it up for us.
Man, Sean G. Born and raised in New Jersey. I wear so many hats at this point, man. Author, published author, 2 books, working on a 3rd book, Stigmatism in My Soul. You can get both of those books at gunbypublishing.bigcartel.com. YouTuber, Sean G. Patreon channel, Sean G. Podcast, The Podcast with Soul. Perennial entrepreneur, real estate investor, options trader, single father, whatever it takes. You know, that's what I do, man. I'm a professional life liver, man. That's what I do.
And how did you come across China Mac? You know, what was your initial reaction? And then as you got to know him a little bit more, how did that change? You know?
I saw China Mac on Vlad TV, and I had never heard of him until I saw him on Vlad TV. And then I was putting on this entrepreneurship conference down in Miami, which we just did in April 2021, success. China Mac spoke at the conference, and me and my son, little Sean, was on a flight out of Newark Airport to fly to DC, and then from DC we were going to Miami to lock in the hotel and do all of that. And it was a bad snowstorm that day, man. And we boarded the plane. Me and Lil Sean got on the plane. We sat there on the runway on the tarmac. They said, yo, we're not going to be able to take off. The weather's too bad. Everybody's got to get off the plane. So we got off the plane. I wanted a cup of coffee. And I said, Lil Sean, I said, Sean, I'm going to go run over here and get me a cup of coffee. He said, all right. He was playing with the iPad. And as I'm walking to get the coffee, China Mac walks right toward me, going to get on the same flight me and little Sean was on to go to DC. And I said, oh shit, China Mac. He said, yo, what's up, man? I said, yo, man, what's going on with you, man? And we dapped each other up. I said, yo, man, I got a YouTube channel, man. Let me get an interview. He said, yo, I'm going to catch the flight, man. I can't do it. He said, I'm going to DC. I said, well, if you on the same flight as me, the flight got canceled, so they're delaying it. He was like, all right, bet. And we shot the interview right there in Newark Airport. And from that moment, you know, we've been all right ever since, man. He ended up coming down to speak at the entrepreneurship conference. He killed it. And we just stayed in touch, man. That's how I met him. Good dude, too, man. Solid.
And what about his story, you know, I guess as you got to know him, were you drawn to, or, yeah, like, what was it about his story that you were attracted to?
Well, it really wasn't nothing about his story, because I had saw him on Vlad TV. His... like I say, we kindred spirits. You know, I was talking to you about that a little earlier. Me and China Mac, we just click. You know, we come from a similar world. China Mac is, you know, I think certain people maybe in the Asian community want him to be this way to represent them, but China Mac is who he is. He's the sum total of all his experiences, and he is himself. And I'm that same way, you know, and we just kindred spirits. So his energy and my energy, it just meshes. It ain't even about his story. We like that. We like that.
And you know, part of the story is obviously the time that he spent in prison.
Yeah.
You know, I know probably experiences is vary, but I had a question just about how, you know, race plays a role in prison, in particular in context as it pertains to an Asian man in prison.
China Mac did time in New York State prison. I did time in federal prison. So it's a different set of politics. I don't know the politics in a New York State prison, but I would assume that it's mostly niggas in prison in New York State prison, mostly black dudes, Spanish, Latinos, some Asian. I don't really know, but I would be safe to say there's majority niggas in there, mostly black motherfuckers. So China Mac being in that environment for the length of time that he was in there, he knows how to move and groove amongst different races, because you have to in order to survive. Now in the feds, is mostly niggas on the compound I was on, and it is more segregated. You know, the white boys have a TV, the niggas got a TV, the Spanish niggas got a TV, the Asians got it. Everybody got this one sits over here, Cleveland sits over here, Pittsburgh sits over here. Sorry about that, y'all. This is live TV, man. You see what it is, man. I don't know what the hell happened. DC sits over here, you know, so it's really segregated, even racially, you know, it's separated by city, you know, so that's all I know about that. But as you can see who China Mac is, and if you know his background, he's been around, he knows how to move and groove amongst. That's not an issue for him as it would be with a lot of people dealing with diverse people. He don't have that issue, and you can see that.
And how does, you know, and this could be general too and specific to you and China Mac, I see that, you know, there's a way that you've taken something that was tough in your life and used it to your advantage and flipped it and kind of, you know, made it an advantage in a lot of ways. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that's alchemy. That's alchemy, right? What is alchemy? Alchemy is the process of transforming lead into gold, right? Maybe not figuratively, maybe not realistically, but figuratively, right? It's taking a bad situation and making something good out of it, taking lemons and making lemonades. The phoenix flies. You know, if you know the story about the phoenix was a legendary bird that lived in the Libyan desert for 500 years, and it destroyed itself by fire on the pyre, right? It destroyed its own self. And then after it had destroyed itself, from its own ashes, it resurrected itself and rose again. It was reborn. It garnered a rebirth, and it rose again to live another 500 years. And that's what separates winners from losers, in my opinion. You know, life gonna punch you in the mouth, punches everybody in the mouth, but what do? You know, I ain't never been no loser. I ain't never been no loser. You understand? And you know, adversity isn't meant to destroy you. Adversity is meant to push you into a new life, right? It's meant to make you stronger. You know, a lot of people have this misconception when things go wrong and you know you experience failure or whatever that you're supposed to quit and give up. Nah, you're supposed to have a renewed effort, man, and make a comeback, man. And that's what I do. I make comebacks.
You know, you wrote in your book that you had hit basically rock bottom at that time. You know, like what you kind of talked about it, but what was that experience like, and what does that kind of like do to you moving forward?
Hitting rock bottom?
Yeah, like that feeling of
Man, when you at the bottom, man, it's a lonely, lonely feeling because you only be there by yourself. Cause don't nobody fuck with you when you at the bottom. You can forget that. They're gonna come when you at the top and when you rising, like people do to me now. But when you at the bottom, ain't nobody there but you. And it's at that point, that's when you have to become real friends with yourself. That's when you have to really form your love affair with yourself, when you're in the depths of despair, because it's just you. And you have to go in and find something inside of you, you know, and get introduced to a new you that you never knew existed, man. And make a comeback. It's a very painful place, but they always say that when you are at your lowest point, success is sitting right there too.
Next question is, you learned also a lot of things when you were in prison. Like, can you talk about the physical and the mental and like the spiritual strength that you developed while you were there?
You know what? I actually, you know, I got a bachelor's degree in accounting. And I got a master's degree in finance. And I had all of this before I went to the feds. And then I have a self-proclaimed PhD that I gave myself because I did more studying in those 16 months that I was in federal prison than I did doing my bachelor's and master's degree combined. Every single day that I was down was a classroom, whether if it was, and the greatest course that I took while I was in prison was the study of myself, right? Who was I? Why was I this way? What are my fears? What are my weaknesses? What are my strengths? What do I like? What don't I like? What ain't I good at? What am I? I mean, a thorough examination of who I really was, truly. And then once I determined who I was, the next course was to be that. 86,400 seconds every day. To be that 1,440 minutes. To be that 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds of every day. Take the mask off. Be who you are. Really love who you are. And I think that's true self-love. From the physical fitness tip, I had never trained or worked out or saw motherfuckers work out like they do in federal prison. I had never seen that from the time they opened the compound at 6:05 to go to Mainline to eat breakfast till they closed the compound at 8. Constant workout. Through soreness, through injury, through pain. And that was another mental, I was able to go into different chambers from a mental perspective of my mind as a result of seeing this. And then you have to be a part of it, because if everybody else is training, you got to train. Prison is a very aggressive environment, and one of the slogans is there, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready, and so it was the whole thing was a learning process. And like I say, I took my federal prison compound and I turned it into a university. I turned it into a college campus.
Are your fish gonna be a problem if I just turn off that little filter or that water trickler?
Let me turn it off. Good. Remind me to turn it back on.
I know, right? I definitely will. Alright. And then can you just scoot your chair a little bit to your left? Yeah. Okay, that's good. Alright, so along those lines, I asked China Mac on his last day of parole, I asked him to prison work, and he said it's not about prison working, it's about you working, right? So, and I had saw this in your book, you were saying it's not about serving time, it's about making time serve you. So can you just kind of, elaborate on that or talk about that?
Hey, man. You can go in there and you can sleep all day. You can go in there, you can watch ESPN all day, CNN all day, BET all day, play spades all day, play casino all day, and do nothing. And when it's time for you to go to R&D, you can walk out of there unprepared. That's your choice. That wasn't what I was there for. I knew obviously something was wrong with me, that at 45 years old, I had lost a $1.2 million net worth, my New Jersey real estate broker's license, custody of my son, 9 rental properties that brought me in $7,000 a month, a tax business that brought me in $300,000 in 5 months every year. So I lost a $400,000 a year income, my principal, everything. So I knew something was wrong with me. I didn't need nobody to tell me. I knew it wasn't no more fronting. So I knew I had to go to work and work on me, and that there was no better place that I could be except in the prison, where I can fully focus on me, right? Examine my life and start all over once I got out. So it was a benefit to me, man. It was a benefit. I turned that shit, I made lemonade out of lemons, man. I made that shit work for me. And you could look at my life now. I'm 52. You know what I'm saying? You could look at where I'm at. Nigga look good, nigga feel good. You know what I'm saying? No medication. I don't get sick. None of that shit, man. None of that. I mind my business and I leave yours alone. You understand? And wrote 2 books, 2 YouTube channels. Probably the best father ever in the existence of humankind. And, I use my time in the joint to get it like this.
Your knees covering your shirt a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, show them what it is, man. Nigga got that motherfucking Fed look, man.
All right. And talk about coming home, right? Talk about how parole is this thing that you have to do, housing, employment, and just what that experience is like, and how you kind of have to adjust back to, living, I guess.
When I got released, January 22nd, 2016, I remember I went to R&D. They drove me to the bus station. From the bus station, I went to Pittsburgh Airport, and I flew back to Newark. And, like having been a millionaire and then coming out of prison with $1,900 and nowhere to live, and thankfully a friend of mine let me stay with her. She let me get released to her house. It's a very, very stressful situation. It's a culture shock, and you really gotta be mentally on point to stay the course, to trust the process, to trust that what you talked about and what you thought about while you were in prison, that of what you was going to do when you got out, you have to apply it and do it, and then trust it and understand that it's not going to happen right away, that it takes time. And for me, I couldn't get a job when I got out. Even with my bachelor's degree in accounting, master's degree in finance, my case, my charge was preparation of fraudulent tax returns. So with a fraud charge, nobody ain't really gonna fuck with you, especially if you got accounting or finance background. They just really not gonna fuck with you, And that didn't really stop me. I didn't care nothing about that. I was determined to make it, so I started a window cleaning business. And my first window I did was a $3 window. My first window. I had never cleaned windows ever in my life. And from that $3 window, I grew that business to where I had 7 Taco Bells, 5 Domino's pizzas, a Burger King, a bunch of diners, doctor's offices, barbershops, restaurants, to where that it took care of me and little Sean. I never got no Section 8. I never go beg the government or another man to help me. I never take no welfare or no Section 8 or no shit like that. That's weak nigga shit to me. I'm a man first. And I eat what I kill. And in America, if you can't make it here, then you weak. Something wrong with you, because there's opportunities everywhere.
When Mac started his world into activism, I even saw that before he was standing up for agents, just his, willingness to want to give and to do something positive. Like, where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. China Mac, he's a giving person. He's a giving person. He's using himself and actually putting himself on the front lines to help others who probably wouldn't do the same for him. And I do that too. I'm that way. I like to help people. And I guess we understand, and he probably understands, there was a point where he was down and fucked up and nobody helped him. And he had to help himself to get back. And me, the same case, I don't mind helping somebody, and he don't mind. I don't know where that comes from with him. I don't know him that well, but I do know that it's evident that he cares about the causes that he's involved in, man. And that's admirable. You know, it's respectable and it's attractive, man. I think that's why so many people are drawn to him from different races too, man. It just ain't Asian people. It just ain't Asian people that fuck with China Mac, man. Everybody, a lot of people fuck with China Mac, man.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into my next question is he is in both worlds in a lot of the sense. Like, a lot of Asians don't really, like, accept him into the community. Like, how is he able to take that and then really transcend and bridge into other communities that normal Asian, I guess, quote unquote, activists or artists can't do? Let's wait for this point. It's like when it's quiet, you hear it.
I don't know. I'm not Asian. I'm Black American. So I don't know. My understanding of Asian culture is from an outsider's perspective. But China Mac, he don't fit the perception and even my personal experience with Asian people. He don't fit that mold, and maybe that's why they don't accept him. Another plane. And maybe that's why they don't accept him for whatever reason. China Mac grew up in New York, man. This is New York. This is New York, New Jersey. There's more different cultures in this 20-mile area, more different languages spoken than anywhere in the world, man. So that has to contribute to why he is accepted the way he's accepted by different races and cultures. And like I say, when he was in the joint, he did time with mostly brothers, man. So he know he's not. See, a lot of people of other races, and I'm talking to everybody, are afraid of black men. China Mac ain't. China Mac ain't afraid of black men because he was in the joint with them for an extended period of time. They embraced him, you know. And when you in a situation like prison where everybody is at their lowest, nobody's got a BMW, nobody's got a Rolex on, no one's got a 4-bedroom house with 4 baths. You know, everybody is wearing a khaki suit, a prison suit, prison boots, prison drawers, prison socks. They shopping from the same commissary. They getting the same laundry, and all you have in there is your word and your manhood. And when you in that situation with dudes and you're able to talk to people for hours and days and weeks and months, you begin to know intimate details about their lives, and conversely, they begin to know intimate details about your life, and you form this bond of the heart and this bond of the spirit and this bond of the mind and this code that is different from this code out here. People could be real rich out here, have all these material things, but be pieces of shit. Their word ain't no good. They lie, they cheat, they steal. You can't rely on them. But that ain't gonna work in there. You not gonna survive with that in there. That's not gonna work. So he knows that world. So it ain't nothing for him. He he's not intimidated by black men the way most other races are.
activism is uniting different people from races and walks of life, along with like a little bit more confidence and not in a positive way, aggressiveness within the Asian community. Like, do you think that that's gonna work given everything that's kind of going on?
I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know. But see, China Mac is trying to give his people, as he should, his Asian people, his Asian community, his people, as he should, the confidence that he got. And he's trying to allay their fears like, yo, you don't got to fear these people. You don't got to fear these people. You don't got to fear them people. You ain't got to fear them people. You ain't got to fear them. All you got to do is stand up, right? And demonstrate some eye contact and some body language. And that's the first step into making a motherfucker leave you alone. Whether that can, and he got that from prison. And he's trying to give it to his people, but I don't think it's going to be a hard road to hoe, because you have to actually go through that experience in order to really get it, man. You got to go through the fears of walking prison yards and going in bullpens and shit like that, and sleeping in dorms and, cells like that in order to get it. In my opinion.
This next part is just two parts. I see you do this. I see China Mac do this. Is acknowledging your mistakes and owning your story and harnessing it so other people can't take it and spin it on you.
It's my life. It's my life, man. You're not going to be able to jump out the bushes on Sean G. Because I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to speak my truth before you do. I tell it before you. I accept mine. I accept my truth. The ones who get exposed like that are the ones who walk around with masks on. They got all kind of skeletons in the closet and shit they doing and what they done did that they don't want nobody to find out, because they fronting for the world. They want the world to perceive them some certain kind of way, and you end up getting exposed, man. But I got to love me. See, I love Sean G, man. I'm the flyest nigga ever to me. My ups and downs and all that. My failures is what makes me who I am. You ain't perfect. 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 You done did some shit too. You just ain't got caught, or ain't nobody know. You ain't perfect. You fail too. So, that just ain't my style, man. I am who I am. That's why, I guess people are drawn to me, man, for my reality, man. My religion is reality. That's my religion. I ain't got no religion but reality.
And the second part of that question is then continuing to rewrite your narrative, right? It's not letting your story just stop there, and you're continuing to push and transcend just what one person might think of you.
Man, that's a great... Man, let me tell you something, man. If you go on Google right now, you type my name in, Sean Gunby. The first article that comes up, it says, Jersey City man convicted of tax fraud gets sentenced to 18 months in prison. 18 months in prison. And I caught my case in 2011. I got sentenced in 2014. August 2014. I reported self-surrendered to FCI Morgantown, August 2014. And at that time, Brian, excuse me, y'all. I just ate some dope tuna fish and drinking the Fly Red Bull. Yo, Red Bull, man, send me a check, man. You understand? This is the dopest t-shirt in the world. You ain't never seen no t-shirt like this ever. It look good on me, too. In 2014, if you type my name into Google, and I got released in 2016, the whole page, 2 pages would have been about Sean Gunby going to prison. Clifton Man convicted, right? So none of these people that wrote these articles ever spoke to me, and most of these articles had a slant and a bent that was 100% negative about the brother, and they had never met me. They took one mistake I made and painted this picture about me and then beamed it all around the planet, right? And then I had a son with my same name, right? And I said to myself, I said, I'll tell my story. I'll control my narrative. I'll tell you who I am. I'm not going to let the New Jersey Today or the Bergen Record or the Herald News, all these articles that they wrote, these people don't know me. And what I did, Brian, when I got out, I looked at these articles. I called the reporters who wrote them. I called them and said, yo, you wrote this article about me. You need to come speak to me now, man. Now that I done wrote 2 books, I got this and that. You got to continue the story. They never got back to me. So what I decided to do and what I'm doing is, you can look on my YouTube page now, my Patreon, my podcast, and you can find out who's Sean G. And Sean G will tell you who I am. And yes, that is a part of my life. That is my life. I did that. Yes, I did. But I have a whole bunch of other redeeming qualities, man, and tremendous traits and characteristics of who I am that make me a great person. So I don't let nobody control my narrative. You're not going to tell me who I am or tell the world. I'll tell it. That's what it is. Take your time, man.
And these last 2 are kind of open-ended, just things that I've been thinking about after reading your book too. And like, we have this system that decides who is essentially good or bad. Like, who gets to decide that? Like, what makes somebody good or bad?
That's a dope question. That comes back to, see, one thing, Brian, one thing's for sure, 2 things for certain. What comes from the heart reaches the heart, right? And you can go on internet and you can watch TV, CNN, all these news channels, and they'll try to give you images of who's good and who's bad and who you should follow and who you shouldn't. But when you look under the carpet and you look behind the curtain at these people's lives, you see that these people are filthy, even though they're being put out front as leaders and people that we should emulate and people we should follow. I ain't got no answer as to who decides that, but one thing I know that's a universal law that's above all of this is that my religion is reality, and what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And that's why I got people all over the world sending me stuff, follow my channel, DMing me, emailing me, telling me how I'm touching their lives and how I've changed their lives. And they're all different. I was on an Instagram FaceTime with a dude from Hong Kong one day, man. My Instagram rang. He came up. I answered it. Dude in Hong Kong. He was a lawyer. I said, what's up, man? He said, this is Astigmatism in My Soul TV. Not the TV that tells lies to your vision. The TV that tells the truth to your vision. And that shit hit me in my chest that here was a dude on the other side of the planet quoting things that he saw me say on my YouTube channel and telling me that I helped him pass the bar exam. I'm, Hungary, Amsterdam, Russia, you name it, man. What comes from the heart reaches the heart, man, and people know what's good and what ain't good.
Yeah, kind of along those lines, and this is more of just a human question to help, build empathy amongst each other. Is like, we all come from various life experiences. We mentioned everybody makes mistakes. We hear about how negative the prison system is, yet it remains this experience that has a possibility to change your life in a positive way, and then continue to do amazing things after that, right? So that's just like that's just where it ends for me. Like, I don't have an answer to that, but I was just wanted to ask you, kind of what you thought, or like, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Redemption, man. Redemption is mine. His redemption is his. Her redemption is his. We can redeem ourselves. We harken back to the story of the Phoenix that I talked about earlier. Excuse me. The Phoenix destroyed itself, and from its own ashes, it rose again with a more youthful freshness than it had before it destroyed itself. And the prison system, especially the federal prison system, is a repository of some of the most brilliant people you ever will meet in the world. On the compound that I was on, all in the same day, you could talk to a lawyer, a medical doctor, a pharmacist, a mayor of a major metropolitan city, a governor, a killer, a leader of a drug cartel out of Central and South America, a stockbroker, an investment banker, a Ponzi scheme runner, a bank robber, a diplomat, a violent assault person, a killer, the gamut went from one extreme to the next. And what you find when you sit down, and I'm sure it's the same thing in state prisons, what you find is when you sit down and you strip off out of your mind what we've been beating in our mind, is that when somebody goes to prison, that they're a piece of shit, they're worthless piece of shit to society, and they're no good. You find out that's bad information. What you find is that somebody is having a human experience and they made a bad decision in one area of their life that landed them in this place. And sometimes people are innocent. I was in there with a dude who was with NASA, who had some of the highest clearance in the world, security clearance in the United States, the Pentagon. Chinese dudes. Sean, man, they arrested me in London. They flew me back, and they thought I was the spy, this and that, and I wouldn't cooperate. I wasn't. And they held me and gave me, you hear all kind of stories, man. And when you sit down and talk to these people, homeboy had a master's in quantum physics and a PhD in finite mathematics. I mean, brilliant individuals. And even some of the dudes who society has kicked to the curb are extraordinary people, man. And we all get a chance everybody fucks up in life. Ain't nobody perfect, man. You understand? But you're right. You see a lot of dudes on YouTube and, you know, television that come out of prison and they seem to be endowed and imbued with superhuman powers that the regular civilians, they can't understand. It was like as if this prison experience was like a furnace burning out all of the impurities the same way you do gold when you put it into a dross. You know, you put gold into a hot stove to burn out the impurities, and it seems like same thing be happening with niggas that come home from prison, man. They come out transformed, transfigured, and they be amazing doing, you know, superhuman shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much why I wanted to ask that question, because it's not my experience. I couldn't answer that.
But you can see it though, right?
Yeah, of course I can see
Everybody
that.
can see it.
And that's why I wanted to ask you, and that's also why I think making this film is important for me, because it's like I definitely had misconceptions about it, and so that's why I was like, all right, well, here's a person that I identify with, and through time you start to see that it's really not, you know, and this has just been 2 years.
They're just regular people.
Exactly. And amazing people that, yeah, have made mistakes in their life for whatever reason, but yeah, I've made mistakes too.
Everybody has. Everybody has. You know, and if you've got an uncle that's a member at a particular country club who plays golf with a governor or a judge or a senator, you can get around certain things that maybe me, my mother was a registered nurse, you know, Black American female, descendants of the slaves that were brought here. So we don't got them kind of connections. So we got to go through the system. Whereas, you know, a lot of kids that live in these suburban towns that know their neighbor is this, their neighbor is the police chief, you know, a lot of shit could get squashed before it gets to that point. You know what I'm saying?
And then, yeah, any final thoughts, or, you know, where you kind of see Mac's life, you know, kind of going? Or...
Man, China Mac is close, man. China Mac is this close, y'all. He's this close. Homeboy, man, he plugged in. He's a regular on Vlad TV. You know, he MC. He's a great speaker. You know, I got a chance to hear him speak. And if you listen to him speak on Vlad TV, his interviews, he's not a dummy. His oratory skills and his speaking skills are amazing, which lets you know he's an accomplished reader. I would have bet you, and I've never asked him this, but I bet you $10,000 against a bucket of shit that if you talk to China Mac and say, yo, what you used to do in prison? He used to, man, I used to read book after book, because that's what I did. I was down for 16 months. I read 38 books, 1,200-page books, 700-page books. We used to have races, me and my man, who could read the book the fastest. We'd take a 100, 200-page book and read it in 3 hours, because your mind is so clear. You don't got no cell phone. You ain't got no women problems. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no issues. Your whole thing is just survive, right? And use your time wisely. And I could sit down and read a whole Wall Street Journal and read the advertisement with the little script on the bottom, read everything and retain it. So China Mac, man, homeboy is close, man. You know, I see a movie for him. I see a documentary on his life, on his experience, on his story. You know, I can see him being entrusted as a media company executive, you know, to create content. It's the possibilities are unlimited because he's so unique. He's a unique individual. You got this Chinese kid, this Asian kid, born in America, you know, been to the joint, has this charisma and this swagger about him. You know, that can move between different cultures with no problem, with ease, speaks well, looks good. We ain't on the fruit pop tip, you understand? Handsome looking dude, you understand? So, you know, and he's making the right connections. He's got, I would imagine, the phone numbers, the people that he got in his phone, he can make some phone calls to some people that they'll pick up the phone that a lot of people they won't pick up the phone for. So the sky's the limit for China Mac, man.
Anything else you want to add?
Man, this is Sean G. I got the dopest motherfucking channel on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my podcast, The Podcast with Soul. Go on my website, gunbypublishing.bigcartel.com. You can get this fly-ass shirt. This the dopest shirt you ever seen in your life. And if you ain't got this shirt in your t-shirt collection fucked up. You understand? Get my books, Astigmatism and My Soul. Let me see them books right there. Let me see something. Yeah. The black one is down there. Get that. Yeah.
I gotta read this one now.
Listen, man, go on my website, gunbypublishing.bigcartel.com. Get both these books. And it don't never stop, man. And I want to say I love everybody that has supported me, man. Everybody that subscribes to my channel. All the young dudes, the 20-year-olds around the world that call me Unc and say that I'm a father figure to them, man. Shout out to all of y'all, man. Never give up. Never quit. You make your life what you want it to be. And you dictate. You control your narrative. You don't let nobody tell the world who you are. You tell the world who you are. Sean G. Peace.